Trump is going to meet with Vladimir Putin on tomorrow, freaking Friday, to go try to end this conflict between Russia and Ukraine. Let's play this video.
Will Russia face any consequences if Vladimir Putin does not agree to stop the war after your meeting on Friday?
Yes, they will. Yeah.
What will the consequences
there will be
be?
consequences.
Sanctions, tariffs?
There will be, I don't have to say, there will be very severe consequences, yes.
Ooh. All right. Okay. So Trump is meeting in a one-on-one meeting with Putin on Friday. Caroline Levitt did a hit this morning on Fox and Friends. We're going to play 3 clips from her. We've got 11 minutes of me being on here. I really want to get to this. So let's hear what Caroline has to say about this upcoming meeting. Here we go.
One of the best things about President Trump's negotiating style is that he's very wise about not broadcasting moves he may or may not make in the future. And certainly the president has plenty of tools at his disposal that he could use if necessary. But he has always said that diplomacy and negotiation is his primary way of hoping to end this war. And so that's what he'll be looking to do tomorrow. But certainly there are sanctions and many other measures that the president could utilize if he has to. Not that he wants to, he's willing to. But again, diplomacy and negotiation has always been the way for this president. And that's part of his acceptance of the Russian president's request to have this meeting in person tomorrow. All
right. So there's the other thing. Putin is the one that actually requested the meeting. Okay. Come to the table. Let's get through her hits real quick. And then I want to talk about this.
You're being very kind, and I won't be so kind, and I'll just name some of those people, such as John Bolton, who I think has made a disgrace of himself on television and in the newspapers, claiming that he knows better than President Trump. No, he doesn't, and neither do any of these so-called foreign policy experts who have never solved a foreign policy conflict in their lives. Look at what this president has done in 6 months. He has stopped 7 global conflicts all around the world using the leverage of the United States of America to negotiate these conflicts to an end. You had the leaders of Azerbaijan and Armenia at the White House last week, both of whom said this would not have been possible without the leadership of President Trump and his administration. So the American people trust this president. That's why they overwhelmingly reelected him. And I think it's pathetic, some of the chatter that we see from these so-called experts who have zero accomplishments on their own resumes to point to. President Trump knows what he's doing. He has great instincts. This is a highly complex and brutal war that, again, inherited by Joe Biden. Russia did not invade Ukraine under President Trump. They invaded under Joe Biden because of his incompetence and his weakness. And this president is trying to solve it and bring it to an end. And he deserves great credit for that.
Amen. All right, let's get some flags going for our president. Let's play the last clip, and then I want to talk about this a little further. Let's go.
Let's take a step back and look at the progress that has been made over the course of the last 7 months. Thanks to President Trump's leadership, he inherited this brutal war that has killed millions of people in both Russia and Ukraine from his predecessor, Joe Biden. And thanks to President Trump's determination to bring this war to an end, both Russia and Ukraine have engaged in direct diplomatic discussions. They have exchanged prisoners of war and discussed other humanitarian issues. And you've seen the president engage directly with both leaders as well, over the phone numerous times with President Putin and in person several times with President Zelensky. The Russian president requested this meeting with the president tomorrow, and the president wants to exhaust all options to try to bring this war to a peaceful resolution. So tomorrow, bright and early, he will be departing the White House for our joint military base in Anchorage, Alaska, where he will engage in a one-on-one meeting with President Putin, which will be followed by a bilateral lunch with the respective delegations from both countries, and then a press conference. And so what comes after that meeting is up to President Trump. And that's part of the reason he is going. He has incredible instincts, and he wants to sit down and look the Russian president in the eye and see what progress can be made to move the ball forward to end this brutal war and to restore peace.
All right. Well, there you go. And that's why I wanted to play it. That gives us some context. So tomorrow they're going to have a meeting one-on-one. Then they're going to have a bilat between both sides. And then the current plan is to have a press conference immediately after that. All of those things indicate that they're planning on having at least verbal agreement by the end of it. Now, granted, it can all fall apart. We saw that with Zelensky, right? When Zelensky came to the White House and they had this, and then they were supposed to have dinner after or lunch after. They were going to have a press conference. I'm not saying that it can't fall apart, but lining all those things up in order like that, President Trump, the administration, and everything they're hearing from the Russian side, they all seem to believe that they're going to have something to report in a positive aspect leading to peace by the end of this meeting. Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow could be a huge, huge day. And again, that brings me back to what we're talking about. All these people, these instant gratification people and all that other kind of stuff, you got to let the president do what you elected him to do. There's people already 7 months in. We still have 130 people that haven't been confirmed by the Senate yet, but you're ready to say that you regret voting for Donald Trump? That makes no sense to me. There's no logical argument for it. It doesn't make any sense. What does make sense is people make views. People make money from those views by talking crap about the president of the United States. It's what it is. Tomorrow could be a historic event. And I'm telling you, I believe Putin called this meeting. Putin wants to have this meeting. Not only is the president going to be there, they've got their bilats at the same time that are going to be there to have a meeting immediately after. What does that mean? Okay, the two presidents have a meeting. They agree in principle to something. Then the bilat people have a lunch and a meeting to work out how does that actually line up on paper so we can get something, a peace agreement done. And then they have a press conference at the end to tell you what's actually going to go down.
All right.
Now,
So here's the $1 million question.
It can't fall apart, but that's how that works. What?
All right. Got $1 million question for you. And this is what I want to know. All right. Take the politics, the BS, the jargon, the clicks and social media, take that all aside. The one thing that stood out to me out of all this so far is the question was asked is, will there be consequences if Putin doesn't come to the table? All right. In just your opinion, best case scenario, worst case scenario, what are those consequences? What do you think they look like?
Best case scenario, if we don't get
okay, let me rephrase. All right. So the weakest consequence, what do those consequences look like? Bad versus, good,
I mean, the first thing he'll do is he will tariff the crap out of them. The first thing he'll do is try to go after the economy of Russia. That's the first thing he'll do. Next, what he could do is he could pull. I mean, we've already got the natural resources or minerals deal with Ukraine and everything going like that. I mean, he could. I think what he's going to do is, again, this peace deal doesn't happen without both sides being a little bit upset. Ukraine's going to have to give up some territory, like the end. They're going to have to. Okay. Russia is going to have to give up something along the way as it is. I think that here's what I think. I think Russia's already, I don't think that happens. Russia called this meeting. Russia's wanting to end it. Russia's wanting to be done with it. Blah, 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 blah. There's a part of me, man, and I'm going live to say it. I feel like we're going to get some type of something in principle tomorrow. That's what I feel.
I don't disagree with you.
That's what I get. And if it doesn't happen, I think he'll drop 150% tariff on Russia immediately before he leaves Alaska.
Piggyback before you ask your next question, Todd. I was just going to say my thoughts on this is, I love everything that President Trump said. Carolyn said when that reporter asked him, what consequences do you think would happen? I wish he would have said, because we all know here that it's not just Putin. We know that Zelensky is also a bad person. I wish he would call both of them, say there will be consequences to Russia, but at the same time, Zelensky has to have some skin in the game too. He's going to have consequences as well if we don't get this deal done. I wish he would have called out both of them at the same time. That's just all I got to say.
Well, I think that sometimes to get a deal done, you have to have arbitration where both sides actually don't talk to each other, and you got a mediator between both sides.
Yeah. It happens in baseball.
I think tomorrow's going to be a very historic day. That's what I think. I think that with the president in there in the room, I think it's going to go down. I think it's going to happen.